was trying to do a story today with one of the Eagle Rock 9 survivors. This is someone who lives here locally in Colorado. Erica was tipped off to it by a story from like a local Denver publication. So, backside of it, like a recommendation from Colorado looking at that. That is it. That comes through. I do have the top pole, front yard skeleton course package in the can. I would prefer to start that on Tuesday since we're starting the Icelandic stuff today. I'd like to get the kind of launch dates for that. That's my hope. But it's fine if something doesn't come through. I have that on Sunday. And then something that's not horrible.
All right, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Watch. I'm Meteorologist Chris Bianchi with a detailed look at your Colorado weather forecast. I'll be honest about it here, folks. We don't have a ton to get into this week. Overall looking tranquil, but a couple of small things to pick out for you. One, a couple of snow chances, one on Wednesday and another one on Friday night. Number two, this is going to be a little bit blustery overnight tonight and into your Tuesday. And then also, finally, those temperatures running well above average for this time of year. And we're seeing that right now, looking outside, 48 delightful, and I mean delightful degrees for us here in Denver. Even some of those colder mountain valleys warming on up right now, 9 degrees for us in Kremling, 16 in Gunnison. You started off below zero in a lot of those spots. So again, we'll happily take that, I would imagine, compared to where we have been. It's been on the cold side for so long here into some of those valleys where that cold air is just stuck. But now, speaking of some valleys where that cold air is stuck, we do have some very chilly air on up into the kind of northern part of the metro area. You might notice Greeley and we've seen this also in the Longmont, Fort Collins area. Temperatures considerably colder, for example, in Fort Morgan and in Greeley and Fort Collins compared to what we're seeing in Denver, despite the fact that they're only separated by about 50, 75 miles. We're looking at a difference of about, 10 degrees in those spots. That is due to two things. One, a thicker snowpack in those areas, and number two, probably a bit more significantly, as that area is a little bit lower and it's a bit of a known cold air drainage pool. So cold air is heavier than warmer air, right? So because of that, cold air tends to look for low points for where it drains down and it's hard to mix out. That's what you got up there in Greeley and Fort Morgan. So that's why, again, those areas right now, so darn cold compared to the rest of the metro areas. We'll keep you posted on that. By the way, saying hello to some of my friends out here, Belinda, Lindy, and Cheryl. Appreciate you for joining us here on this beautiful Monday. And speaking of beautiful Monday, take a look at those temperatures, about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, with the exception of that cold spot up in Greeley, at least for the Eastern Plains Mountains. Generally speaking, depends on your elevation, but generally speaking, running above average, above where we were this time yesterday. Still probably got a couple more degrees to go here in the Denver area. We do have probably high right around 50, maybe 51 here in town. Southwest winds on the gentle side. For now, will get us on the warm side. By the way, notice there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, that sunrise of 7:01 a.m. for today. Tomorrow it moves to 7 a.m. And then on Wednesday, we will move to a before 7 a.m. sunrise for the first time in several months. And we'll keep it that way until mid-March when we move those clocks back forward. Another kind of fun thing to pick out this week is on Wednesday, we will also have our first 5:30 or later sunset of the year. First 5:30 or later sunset of the year coming up later on this week. So starting to notice those longer days, I would imagine, and it's pretty nice out there. Now, one spot to watch for, keep an eye on this as we head through tonight and tomorrow morning. Watch those winds in the foothills kind of tick on up as we head through the overnight time frame, especially by early tomorrow morning. Could see some of those winds howling out there into the 60 to maybe 70 mile an hour range, and some of those top gusts in the foothills. It's a little bit to be determined whether or not or how much those winds are going to kind of push us back a little bit here. What those impacts will be for the kind of immediate metro area, but notice those winds in Evergreen, Golden, Arvada do kick on up into maybe the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. Wouldn't be surprised to see in some of those spots a 50 mile an hour gust or two. That would be mainly overnight tonight and to early tomorrow morning. But again, for most of us, those winds should be below critical. We're not going to be looking at probably wind advisories or high wind warnings into the foothills tonight, although it'll be probably just shy of that. By the way, the fire danger is very low because of that snowpack. Now, speaking of snowpack, we could be adding to that here as we get later on through the week, and specifically on Wednesday. Notice the northern mountains here. I'm going to kind of pull this back just a quick second here. Notice those snow bands for us here into the northern foothills as we get into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. I should say northern mountains here Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. So skiers on up in the Steamboat Springs, Winter Park, even down to the I-70 mountains, we'll see some of that snow. The elks, the elk heads, the flat tops, the gores, all getting on some of that snow. Some of that does trickle its way down into some of the Front Range mountains and the I-70 mountains as well. The mosquitoes getting on some of that, but for the most part, Denver, I'm not going to see a ton of action from this. I do think we get a little bit of snow here in Denver. I think the majority of the action, though, does stay on up into the mountains. But this is what one computer forecast model is spitting out for that next system. I think here in Denver, that may be a bit optimistic. It's going to be a bit too warm initially for us to really see much in the way of accumulation. But we could see a period on Wednesday night after dark of snow briefly for us here in town. I think the Palmer Divide and the foothills could end up with 1 to 3 inches of snow from the system. Either way, not a huge deal, and certainly nothing compared to what we saw last week when we picked up, you might remember this here in Denver, we picked up officially only 3.5 inches worth of snow at DIA, which is honestly a bit of a joke. And we all know, trust me, we have nothing to do with the fact that the official observation sites at DIA, that's ridiculous, it shouldn't be there, but that is a story for another day and another rant for another day. But so far this season here at DIA, we are 21.7 inches worth of snowfall. Hey, considering 40 days ago, listen to this, 40 days ago, Denver was at 0.3 inches worth of snow, 0.3 inches worth of snowfall. Now we're at 21.7, so we've really made up a lot of ground in our season-to-date snowfall. Most of Denver's above 2 feet of snow. Again, that system that we had last week was very underrepresented at the airport officially. City Park picked up 9.5 inches of snow. That's a bit more along the lines of what the majority of you saw out there. All right. From there, let's go over to the 7-day forecast, and then I'll try to answer some of your questions. So if you got a question or two, I will be more than happy to answer for you. All right, temperatures, as we get into tomorrow, probably a tick warmer than today. A little bit blustery for us, though, through the day, especially in the west side of the metro area. Then our next system arrives late Wednesday. Rain, perhaps maybe some snow mixing in. Either way, not a big deal for us here in Denver. It would be after dark on Wednesday, not anticipating issues to a commute on either Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Thursday, we spike back up into the 50s, so beautiful for us for the most part. Then Friday, we do get that chance for a few flakes after dark on Friday. It doesn't, at this point, look like a big deal either, but that one may have a bit more juice to it. Again, same issue as Wednesdays, where we're lacking both moisture and cold temperatures, so I'm not too optimistic about how much we'll see here in Denver on Friday, but something to keep an eye for. And then next weekend, fantastic. And then Monday, 57. So overall, looking at wonderful weather as we head through the next few days. All right, with that in mind, I'm going to try and get to some of your comments and your questions here for those of you that might have some of those. Joan saying hello from Westcliff. Ray saying nice sunshine today. Hello to Fernando as well. Appreciate all of you for joining us. And again, going back to this forecast, it's fairly straightforward. Not a ton to really kind of break on down here for you. So I understand you might not have a ton of questions, but the highlights to me would be those couple of snow chances later on this week, Wednesday and Friday specifically, some gusty conditions tonight and tomorrow, and then otherwise, it's absolutely beautiful out there. And hello to Brooke from South Africa, all the way down there in South Africa. And Belinda asking about more snow in Steamboat Springs. You'll get a little bit more, Belinda, from that next system. I'll show that to you here. You get probably, I'd say 2 or 3 inches from that system, mainly on Wednesday and Wednesday night and Thursday. So you'll get a little bit of snow there, Belinda, but nothing too dramatic. We are needing the snow into the mountains. In fact, I'm going to pull this graphic up here for you. Our snowpack exactly at 100% of where it should be this season, but that's going to drop below 100% later on this week. So we are starting to need the snow. I know if you're a skier or a snowboarder and you've been up in the mountains recently, yeah, we're needing a storm or two. We could use a good storm right now into the mountains, but at least the snowpack levels right now not too bad. So good news, and we can thank that late December, early January run of crazy nonstop snow for all of that. Well, that'll do it for our digital weather here on 9 News Watch. Really appreciate you for joining on in. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and have a great rest of your day.